Oh, hello and welcome to another Gags Tandon show. Finally, Liverpool have won a Premier League game in 2025. I mean, it's at the third attempt. It's not that bad, but hey, it felt bad. Marco is joining me once again. How are you doing, Marco, my friend?
I'm in a good mood now. Nice to see you again. And but that kept us waiting a little too long, I think.
No, I don't mind waiting. This feels so much sweeter. And I just want to say, I'm so glad we rejected £70 million for Darwin Nunez.
Yeah, it was a good choice if he was gonna do that. But it's a wonderful moment for him because I think people could see throughout the time that he played when he came on as a sub, just the lack of confidence is very obvious. So that did in the world of good. I think there'll be delirium in the Liverpool locker room as much
Well, there is in the chat as well.
amongst
Lagesh
us.
is going nuts.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
Delirium and
that.
let's
Thank you,
go.
Lagesh. Hundred
I
percent.
think
Hundred
I think
percent.
we should start with the man in question here, Darwin, because hey, everyone's been going at him. We've been going at him. Everyone has been on his case. And Ollie Chuck there, Nunez. At the end of the day, that's what we wanted from him the whole time. Like, it's not like it's hate. It's out of care. We just want him to do better. This is gonna change his season. I have a feeling. Maybe I'm going a bit too far, but this is the type of win and the type of impact on a game, on a title run, that can change a guy's season, dude. What do you think? Am I going over
I
the
do
top?
agree with that. No, no, I hope so. I do agree with that. It reminds me a lot of I can't remember the stats offhand, but there's a late goal he scores last season. I think it's against Forest, where it's also a late winner. It's quite special, and I think at the end of the day, I think we know a couple of things. One, I don't think he's leaving this window. And the second thing is, I don't think Liverpool are bringing in a nine to replace him. So, fundamentally, we want him to succeed. We want him to do well. We want him to contribute. And I think it's just important for him to sort of get this boost. And you're right, like the way it turned out, the way it played out, with that crazy song playing in the background describing him. Uh, hey, if it helps him to kick on and the team gets benefited, all the better. I'd echo what Dave Davis said in his post conference presser pod, also available on the Anfield Index podcast family. If a few people are eating their words off the back of writing him off, good, we're happy because actually we want him to score, we want him to do well because it means the team will do well, the team will be winning. So that's what we want to see.
Yep, Damo, Ollie, we are still getting our breath back from that as well. And Damo also said that at halftime, the video analyst on his feed showed him scoring 2 second half goals against Newcastle. So that man should get a pay rise. Well said, well said. And Matthias is here, our friend from Anfield Index, if you remember as well, Marco from the Swedish
Yeah,
pod. Yeah,
yeah.
he felt like he played that game himself. All of us did. all of us. To be honest, it feels so good to come on and be upbeat because this year has just not been great for us, really. So far. I mean, I know it's only 2 weeks old, and it's a bit stupid for me to say that, but it hasn't been fun the 2 weeks. You know what I mean, Ben? No, if you've got work to do, but I don't think you're on the road, so you're all right for post match today. So yeah, you're fine. I think it's slots first, Marco. Injury time, winner.
Yeah, it doesn't. I can't recall one before because I mean I think ultimately if you look at how the season's played out, there's been a lot of Liverpool sort of getting their business done relatively before full time
Mm.
and obviously just playing out the game, which I think we especially in the beginning of the season we'd appreciated as fans because it gave us a sense of okay, this team is not vulnerable. It can't be sort of attacked, and then suddenly a good 2 goal, 3 goal lead suddenly disappears in smoke. This is helpful. I mean, it's definitely one of my talking points. I felt like uh, there was a part of this. It's weird. I was watching with a mate, and I thought this wasn't going to be one of those that was going to end 0-0. It was either going to end with us scoring late or them scoring late. I'm glad it was obviously us, and it just it but yeah, it felt like one of these sort of laborious things where you wanted someone to open up the game, and 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 credit to Slot for at least, you know, throwing on people and seeing what happened. I don't know how. I felt like the team didn't play to the transitions very well. So Brentford were given a lot more time, particularly before, say, the 80th minute, to just transition back into the defensive shape. It felt like just towards that last 10, 15 minutes, that Liverpool were finally just getting into their box that little inch faster, which I think made a difference.
Yeah, when Chiesa came on as well, it just felt like something changed. In the game, there's a bit more pace around. And also, Chris, by the way, you mentioned that your Peacock stream went. I think I was on the Peacock stream. My stream went too. Complete, like, it was just nuts. I was like, what's going on? And people in Discord saying we scored. I can't see the goal. What's happening? And then poor Jack is like a minute behind. So we're like waiting for Jack to celebrate because we're watching the watch along as well. It was bloody hilarious, to be honest. Like, these stream games, I hate them. I hate them. Can you just be on Sky or BT, please? Or TNT or whatever it is. But the streams just pissed me off. No worries, Damo. All good. Don't worry about it. But yeah, you've just cost the guy some money. Great to win for Matthias, but I have to be a little negative. We are so often easy to play through the middle. I felt especially. Well, to be honest, let's do this now. Let's go to the stats. I don't think there's a lot there, Matthias, from them. I thought we handled them pretty well through the middle. And Bueno was causing us trouble right at the start of the game, but then Virgil asked Simi to go a bit further forward and started to cut over to the left. So anytime Mbeumo tried to go in, Virgil just snapped that off. And then Ibu in the second half a couple of times just handled him with ease. Like, I think Ibu today was looking a little bit back to his best. Like, there was times where he just took, and then on the left, on our right side, somebody was attacking him. He just went in front of him, snuck the ball off and pissed off. It's just like, yep, I'm taking this ball away from you, my friend. So yeah, I think it was nerves. It was nerves. And Ollie, yeah, we did deserve to win. We absolutely did deserve to win. We deserved to win against United. We deserved to win against Forest. We deserve to win here. That's one thing I will say, is that we should have done better because we just made silly mistakes that cost us in both those two draws. So Marco, but before you say something, should we just quickly go through these stats and get rid of them? I mean, exactly what you just said there, Ollie. 3.4 XG away from home is a shellacking and a half, really. It's a battering. The Gakpo chance first half as well was a poor one, wasn't it? Like, he has no left foot, right? But do you think he could have cut in and just tapped it in?
Yeah, I think a lot of it. There were a couple of comments online around sort of is there a way for him to just attack that ball differently? I do think there is that, because I was trying to think of, is there really a lot wrong with that pass? I don't know, because there's so much space. So and he's just closer to the angle. And even then, I mean, if I get it's his weaker foot, but I think there could have been a lot more to the finish. He could have maybe even tried to take it around the keeper, although granted there would have been a narrow angle. But yeah, I mean, that one is probably the chance that I'm more that I was most concerned about in the first half. Dom obviously had two great chances, but that one of course left us all a little bit concerned around how the rest of the game was going to go.
Yeah, 4 big chances as well. Huge. 2.97 from open play and 0.43 from XG. It's pretty heavy from us, really. 37 shots. That is, look at this. This is incredible. I know some of them are very low XG, but it wasn't like we didn't deserve it. Like I said, like we both said there. And the two from Darwin must be big XGs. What's this one? 6.5. And
they're both in the middle.
Yeah,
they're both close to the 6-yard box.
Yeah, I'm surprised that one only got 0.17. The second one got more. I thought the first one would have got more. It's like a tap in.
It was a tap, and I was actually, when I looked at the replay of the second goal, I actually thought the keeper was a bit bad for it, because initially in real time I thought, okay, he's hit that in the top corner of the goal. No, he's actually just hit it straight down the middle, just really, really hard. So I think the thing was, it was quick. It was a much quicker transition. It was probably our quickest transition in the whole game, and that's why it made a difference.
Yeah, it would be great to have a believer in there, Matthias. I just don't see us spending 120 million on him. AG says, Marco, those type of results are title defining in the manner it happened, fully deserved win, and that should hurt Arsenal. Thoughts?
It should. But I think it's one of the narratives that I think has been sort of coming out throughout the week, as we've been discussing how how we're feeling about the team and this blip. And let's call it a blip, because I think by the standards of the pace that the team was setting at the beginning of the season, this is definitely a blip that the team's trying to get out of. I almost feel like I agree with Dave Hendrick. I think there is PTSD in the fan base. I think everyone is thinking about all these crazy margins that Manchester City forced Liverpool to hit. The thing is, though, stop worrying about Arsenal. Like, Liverpool are not trying to catch Arsenal. Liverpool are trying to stay ahead. So really stop. Arsenal is not an entity until they have to be. And in my mind, if Liverpool does their business, there's not a single reason we have to discuss Arsenal at all. So for me, just keep on focusing on what the team can do. I think the amazing thing is you look at today, Mo wasn't quiet, but he wasn't as involved as he could have been. This is a game where Liverpool managed to win without Mo playing a meaningful role. Diaz wasn't great. Cody wasn't great. Jota obviously was injured. So it's an important kind of win. It's the kind of win that yes, it's title defining, because you know that there's going to be wins like this in a title winning season if it comes to that.
I'm worried about Mo. Like Anfield Index just said, drop a like in the stream, folks, please. We really appreciate you coming over to YouTube, Anfield Index Anfield Index TV on YouTube. Come and find us, watch us live, drop a like, subscribe if you can. This is something that we're starting. We've been podcasting for nearly 13 years. We really want to get going on YouTube, so we really appreciate all of the support. And we'll be here every single game, every single week while the season's on. And in transfers, we'll be here too in the transfer window, even though we never bloody buy players. But hopefully we do in the summer. The Premier League record shots all time was 44 versus City, versus QPR. Today was the sixth equal best. Wow, that's pretty big. And it beats 36 versus Arsenal in September for this season. Ollie Chuck with the stats. Go on, Ollie. Nice one with the Darwin picture as well. So let's focus on the game a little bit more. Whilst the XG was high, the shot count is high. So I guess very low chance, or I think some of that XG is wrong as well. The Darwin first goal can't be a 0.17. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So it's going to be even higher. So there'll be 3 or 4 really big chances in there. Thankfully, we scored 2 of them. And I think the Gakpo one, I don't know what the other one was. The fourth big chance. I'm not quite sure which one that would be.
There might have been a couple of headers. I don't know if you'd count.
The Darwin
Diaz.
The Darwin header. Oh,
I was thinking the Diaz headers. If you recall, there's definitely one he has around, like, sort of, I think in the first 15 minutes. It comes off the back of his head, or almost the top of his back, rather than
a bit wide of the goal, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you could have chested that down, you know.
There's a couple like that. I felt that this was the kind of game where you could definitely see it was a situation where the usual creativity in the team wasn't sort of clicking. That said, I got to give a lot of credit to Dominic Szoboszlai. I thought he was great today, and just once again just proves why he's important to it. I do want to agree with something that Matthias said earlier. I do think there was a bit of a soft center in the defending. I thought, again, to bring him up again, Dom was found like literally going from box to box, doing a lot of recovery defending as well. So I'm not sure.
That's why he had to come on. We just couldn't let him burn himself out again, like we have been, and he should be rested midweek, ready for next week, because I don't think he should be playing midweek at all. He's so vital to us, mate. Like, the guy literally is in the squad or in the team for those situations because of the pace he's got. And it would have been better to get Cavaradonna, whatever his name is, someone like that, to come in and play 10, because Dom could have dropped into the 8, and that role would be much easier for him to do rather than playing 10 right like he is now, and he's having to run box to box. It'd be half the pitch. He wouldn't have to go so far up, and it'd be easier to handle for him, you know. And he's an all-action kind of player.
I'll agree with you to a point. I do think, it's funny. You mentioned Ibra. I think both centre-backs had a great game today, but I think, unfortunately, you saw them a lot more because they weren't getting protected enough.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to beat up on him. The debate's been had on many a show. I don't think, from a defensive perspective, the midfield protected the centre-backs enough. Great that Ibra was on form. Great that Virgil was on form.
Grav's not a proper DM, though, is he?
He's not.
He's a ball-playing midfielder. So he's playing deeper, but he's a ball player, and he can glide with the ball like he did a few times today. It wasn't bad, but he doesn't break the play up. He can't do what Fabinho does. what a Baleba does. He just can't do those things. So I'm surprised we haven't tried to go for anyone. And people are going to say again, the right opportunity hasn't turned up. But you know what? The right opportunity will never, ever turn up if that's the case. Because, well, what's the right opportunity? It's why we only make like 6-7 signings in like 7 or 8 years. It feels like we don't make many signings at all. It's big signings, worthy signings.
And ultimately, you know, in previous shows of this or on Chat G&G and a couple of other comments throughout the Anfield Index podverse, you've slowly but surely, I think, as much rope you want to give the likes of Richard Hughes and Mike Evans about just sort of the fact that they've inherited this contracts issue, for example. I think the longer everything takes, the more difficult it becomes. Liverpool loses control over the narrative, and you know whether the contracts are the things that are holding up. Oh, we don't know what players we can sign. We don't know what impacts it's going to deal with the budgets. That's why we're holding off on Kvaratskhelia or whoever it is. Ultimately, the longer it takes, the more difficult it puts them in this position. So it is something. They're not going to get rid of the narrative until they sort these things out.
Exactly. It will be a killer for Arsenal, Ali. I think so. I hope so. Let's see what happens when they kick off in the next 5-6 minutes. No, I don't know. They didn't really tell us what it was, but it didn't seem like it was a major one. It was a niggle, it was called. But you know what Liverpool are like. A niggle turns into like 3 months out. Up the Reds midnight, Toka. And so I was like, no, I thought Maka played well today.
Mac was great.
Yeah. I thought Maka played well. So I don't think he was playing alone at HBS. But yeah, there's been a couple of Chiesa questions and points in here. One was from Matthias about will he get more chances? Was a positive influence. What do you think about this? Because I was screaming for this guy to get on the pitch. Like, you know, even if it was for Mo, but really I wanted him to come for Diaz so Mo could go central. But in the end, he changed him for Gakpo and put him on the left.
I do agree with that. I think the great thing about him, even though his first couple of runs at the defense didn't necessarily play out the way he wanted, I like the fact that his intention was very, very clear. And I think it just added that extra inch of seconds around that transition being faster. Because I think the big thing, and credit to Brentford, I think we've got to give them their due. I think before this game, if I check my stats correctly, tied for the second best home record in the league. So they're not easy to play, and they defended their socks off. They'll be very, very upset about obviously how it played out. But the point is, I like how Chiesa did this. I like how the assertion that he was trying to put on the field. So it would be good to see him. I mean, Gags is a very obvious sub that could and should happen, and maybe it comes to your concerns about Mo, whether it's fatigue or whether it's the contract thing. But ultimately, yeah, it would be nice to see more of this guy, particularly if he's going to stick around. Because I know there were rumors around, sort of how his future would fit into the Kvaratskhelia thing. It didn't. He's a Liverpool player. Let's use him while he's a Liverpool player, and let's see what value he can add.
I completely agree. If it means playing him on the left, and I agree, Ollie, as well, they're a good sign, and that's what Marco was just alluding to. Goal ratio. Good to see Nunez goals at the right time. I was just saying about Chiesa though. He just needs to play against Lille for me, even if it's just 45 minutes. Like if he hasn't got the fitness, playing for the first 45 and get him off and just share the workload from the players, because it's still taking 45 minutes off another player's legs. Nunez to start midweek, see how he does. Hopefully he bags another couple. He'll probably stay in the game for Ipswich, if that makes sense. Because if Diaz, and there's a Diaz comment in here from AG Jack, which is the next one, he's frustrating the life out of everybody at the moment. And
it's funny about this one, Gags, because this is the only part of the starting lineup that I was a bit sort of wary of, and it's an unfair comment in a sense, because I mean then the logic is start Nunez, or do you start Jadon Danns as a weird interesting experiment? I kind of feel like, to be fair to Diaz, he is not a centre forward. This is not a Sadio Mane turning into a centre forward from left winger kind of thing. But yeah, I mean the frustration's clear. It's the Luis Diaz thing. Just unfortunately does have to be short lived, depending on the opposition. I mean Brentford handled them really, really well today.
Yeah, I think down the left he'll be just much better and feel a bit more at home in that role. and Gakpo maybe get a rest for a week or so because he's looking a little bit leggy at the moment. Give him a rest. Share the minutes if you have to. 45 minutes each is good enough for both at the moment. They might actually give it their all in 45 and be much more use to us if they're going full power and not feeling they got another half to go and they're knackered. I think that might be a better solution if Chiesa's fit too and Jota comes back in the next week. It just means, hey, start sharing. You got 6 players there, or is it? Yeah. If it's 6, it's 6. So share the minutes. Use your subs. If they're all good.
If Jota's fit at 6, but I mean, I again, I mean, and what's the harm in then looking at Jadon Danns or looking at some other options, or maybe you start looking at Harvey Elliott sort of in his older role. I know Arne Slot doesn't play it tactically the same way as Jurgen Klopp, but I mean, I think I'm not saying the Lille game is a throwaway. I'm not saying the Plymouth game is a throwaway, but ultimately, if the importance of those games, not all games are created equal. Let's just be very, very clear on that. So if you can afford to sort of take that risk, why not? Because I mean, the alternative of stretching players beyond beyond the legs allow them. We've seen this movie. We have the PTSD. That's why we're worried about winning games to stretch a 4-point lead to a 7-point lead. It sounds asinine, but that's where we are. So it's quite important to rotate.
Yeah, Sai, the chat before. Thank you. Hello to you too. I think we should invest in a set piece coach. If I'm honest, maybe we should nick Arsenal's.
I wanted to speak to this because I think there was a lot of commentary, especially on my Twitter feed around set pieces over and over. I think the set piece XG, if I recall the stats, was sitting at like under 0.5, which when you've had 15 corners, it's not enough. And I maintain, if I think about teams that have won the league in the past, including us, Liverpool in 1920. At the end of the day, you want to find all sorts of ways to score goals. You just need to have that in your locker. Set pieces is a good example. It's a pity that it didn't seem like anyone could deliver a good set piece today. It didn't seem like anyone could get on the end of it. So, yeah, I completely agree with this. This is a really important point from Simon.
Wow. Okay. We probably need to pause here for a second. Eddie just shared something in a chat with us. Mo Salah heads straight down the tunnel while Liverpool teammates celebrate late win. Woof. Okay. So let's unpick that one. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a notification he's got from an app. I don't know which app it is, but it's that's not good. It's not a good sign.
It's interesting just in terms of how off color he has looked, say the last couple of games. I think the challenge is Gags. We don't know enough. So
my theory, because we are allowed to put theories into the ocean, right? So or into the ether or into the universe, is that we've told him that we're not going over a certain level or something, and he's not happy, and therefore he knows that this is it. I mean, it's quite weird that all this time until this week, no Saudi links came all season, and when he's in this little bit of a, and then they pop up. So all of these things, like you got to try and, we all know how football works. We've been in this, watching this happen the whole time now. If Mo turns around and smashes it the next few weeks, great. But 4 games, 0 open goals for Salah, still a good team player, but the wing needs needs rotation to have something. I think so. If he's not happy, he's bringing us down. He's just not. We need to see what's going on there, because that's not his form of what he's been this season. 4 games now.
I'm gonna do something really strange, and I'm gonna, if I'm not mistaken, it's Jamie Carragher who raised this point, right? And I know it's almost weird to agree with Jamie, but ultimately, I think the thing you got to look at, I've got to look at Virgil's behavior, and I've got to say, Virgil's been quiet. It's very clear that he obviously wants to stay at the club as well, but I don't think anyone can fault Virgil's conduct throughout this, including the effort that he's given in games. By the way, I think we should say Trent, save for a couple of defensive lapses, he did have them, but I thought Trent was good. I need to give him credit, because last time I was here, I absolutely beat him up when he didn't play so well against United. I thought he was good today, and for obvious reasons, great for the first goal.
Yeah, I think they need to try Mo up front for a bit and put Chiesa on the right if they can. And same with, I agree with Trent. He got an assist. According to those stats we were just looking at, he was the player of the match for today. You know, the foot mob that we just went to, and they do the stats and they
Right.
just
Okay.
they put him right at the top. I know we went different players, but they put him right at the top. So, I mean, fair play. Like I said, this is a good point as well. The set piece stuff, Virgin, Konate, just not. I mean, the crosses have been rubbish. Let's be honest. The corners have been absolutely piss poor. Really, really piss poor. So, yeah, what can we do? We need to try and improve that somewhere. Thanks, AG. Just popping in to say, come on, Villa, do us a favor. Hi, Phil. How you doing? Happy New Year. Didn't get to say happy birthday to your kiddo. Happy birthday to him now, belated. Yeah, we know Mo gets frustrated with himself if he doesn't contribute nothing bigger or burger. Well, you mean bigger, I think, in your opinion. You can have a burger though if you want. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not like Mo to walk off without his teammates. He's a team player. That's one thing he is. So if he has trundled off on his own whilst everyone's celebrating, it feels a little bit weird that he's not happy or he's showing that he's not happy because he knows he's very smart. He's very, very smart with optics, like how things will appear and what people will pick up on. So if he just walks down the tunnel while everybody's celebrating, that shows he's separating himself a little bit. So I don't think it's very professional. If it's true, don't know if it's true. So I'm just going to hold that up as well. We don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
But if it is true, then yeah, I think he's not being a bit of a team player there. I think anyway, if you're not getting the money from Liverpool, you know you're getting a bag somewhere else. Yes. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be unhappy, but the point is you got a title to win, and surely the focus has got to be on winning what you got. You've still got 4 months here with the rest of the team that you love. And if you love it, the fans love you, everybody loves you. Go and win everything, you know, do your best. It's fine. You know,
exactly. I do think Gags again, and there's a comment that Gary's just put up, which I think is also an important reminder. He still created chances today. He still contributed to the threat. So even if, I mean, to be fair to him, even with all due respect to what I just said just now around Virgil's conduct, Mo's still dangerous. Mo's still contributing in that respect, at least. I think maybe the challenge here is he's just set this bar really, really high, and he's been willing to talk and vocalize and say things in the media. So ultimately, it's just around narrative. A lot of football around the stuff we're talking about, whether it's contracts or transfers or results of this. A lot of it is also around narrative, and it's just, you know, you look at these players and you just want them to make sure that they're in support of the right narrative. The narrative we care about is, yes, we absolutely want these contracts sorted out, but more than anything, while you're figuring out that nonsense, just make sure that every single game 3 points are coming home and the league is getting one. That's it.
Yeah, I just want to add some context actually to what was just said there about Mo, if we can. XG and XA was 0.63, which was less than Cody Gakpo, Trent, Darwin, and Luis Diaz in the game. So, you know, it's okay. I mean, it's not bad, but 7 chances at 0.43 tells me there's some very low, like there's shots from outside the box type thing. So whilst it's 7 chances creating more, let's add the context, folks. Yeah, I still stand by that he needs to do more. I do stand by it. So yeah, sorry to say that, but I'm not being harsh. I just think, you know you're going, or if you don't, I don't know if there's a bit, but try and at least win for your teammates. You know, there's 10 other players, or there's 22 other players in the squad, 23, whatever, 21. I don't know what the number is in that Liverpool squad, but they're trying to win things, you know, so be part of it. And these things should be left on the side. It's hard. Trent is in the same boat. He's getting better. Verge is exemplary, completely exemplary, right? Like, that's a captain of a team playing like, hey, I mean, he's probably most likely to stay, but the point is still, it's not signed, it's not announced. He's still performing at the top of the game, and he's the best defender in the league by a long shot, maybe in the world. So, I mean, you know, it's just nuts. Mo probably pissed off. Yeah. It's gonna. He sets high standards for himself, but doesn't mean you don't celebrate with the team, dude. There's no excuse for that. You can be upset with yourself and do it afterwards, but you do that in front of the cameras, and it puts unnecessary pressure on the club. It puts unnecessary pressure on all the players, unnecessary pressure on himself. Very experienced player. Like, he knows what he's doing. So I love him to bits, man. Like, don't get me wrong. But
let's
if there's things like this going on, we got to call it out, right?
We do, but I'd be very curious now what happens. I'm thinking, you know, potentially you've got the likes of the media who will hopefully ask Arne, because they generally tend to be very, very good at picking up on these things and asking Arne about some of these like body language quirks. So let's see.
I hope it's nothing.
I'd be keen to hear. Because the thing for me is just, it comes back to narrative for me. Just, you know, if he's going to do things like that, he's just got to be aware of how it fits a narrative, and that's where, again, to your point though, I can't fault Verge. There's a moment in the game, I think, where a cross comes in. He comes in for a desperate clearance, and he looks a bit exasperated. It's 0-0 at the time, but what I love about that is it's like you can see he cares. You can see he absolutely cares, and he's absolutely giving everything to the cause, which is amazing.
Yeah. Look, there's 42 of you watching live. There's a whole 1,500 of you watching over on Twitter. Come and join us on YouTube, folks. Anfield Index TV. It's that way, or that way. And come and join us. Like and subscribe, please. Really, really help us. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a good stat. I just wanted to add the context because I was looking at the numbers, and I love football. Actually, it gives us some stuff to talk about when we have this type of stuff come up. So we're going to talk about Robbo when he came on. I mean, as far as cameos go, he almost creates something really good, right?
Yeah, he did. I mean,
Nunez header, but Jesus, defending wise, Marco, talk to me, because this guy has fallen off the proverbial cliff.
I think the interesting thing is going to be was today's lineup a hint of how it's going to play out for the rest of the season. Tsimikas is, I think Tsimikas is a classic 6-7 out of 10 left back if he gets everything right.
Yeah,
and definitely not as good as Robbo was back in his prime. But if things are going to continue as they are, then 100% you'd want to see the starting relationship swapped. Look, I mean, I think it's like a lot of people have said. Robertson is just full of the effort, so you love that. You hold that up and respect it from him, but there's just a lot that he's leaving to be desired from a defensive point of view. So I think I looked at the substitution as partly Tsimikas is tired, and partly you kind of want the left, an additional left winger to come on and help you, because he's just not going to offer too much in defense. So there it is. I also thought, really important, I do think Tsimikas is a rhythm player. I don't want to use momentum in case Dan Kennett's watching, but really it's just, you know, that I do think it's important that Tsimikas gets a regular run just to sort of bring in that rhythm, because I think he's the kind of player who suffers from sort of plays one game, 2 games go by, he doesn't play. So really important that he gets to play a bit.
Goal ratio. Oh, I missed that one. Set pieces might be an issue, but the bigger issue, in my opinion, is a lack of goals for the amount of time in the opposition box. It's crazy. Do they practice these scenarios? To be honest, mate, we have a lot of time in there, but normally it's because there's 10 men in there. So did you see how many shots were blocked today? Like, it's very difficult to score. I mean, we've been a little bit unlucky because normally you get a Lampard and it'll deflect and go in or something like that. But at the moment, it's just, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I thought on this point, I thought it completely came back to the speed of transition, the speed of construction of attacking play. There's I just pointed to the fact there's a big, for me, at least on the eye test, there's a big difference in the last sort of 10-15 minutes where the team just seems to get in behind Brentford a little bit faster. and that's where it's very difficult to score against 10 people in the box for anybody. It doesn't matter what football team you are. So,
and by the time we got there, because to your point, we were a bit slower in getting there today. Like I thought Gakpo slowed us down like a Curtis Jones does today a few times, where we could have been a quicker pass off, and it was just we've already done this one. Thanks, Eddie, but Ollie beat you. But yeah, it's the most from from an away team has had in a Premier League game in recorded history. So that's a bit different. Hi Neil. So that is that's something. That's something. Simicast was on a yellow, which played role. Yeah, definitely. And Simicast was going to get slow side, but also Simicast hasn't played many games, so swapping them makes sense. Like literally, you will probably see Robbo start and Simicast come on in the next game like that. So yeah, I hope they do play Gomez in the big games, but Gomez also needs to be protected just in case we need him at centre back. Marco,
I think it depends on where Arne Slot sees Wataru Endo, because if you look at the way that Joe has been used, Joe has been very much the impression I get. I need the stats next to me. Maybe someone in the chat can throw it up. But for me, Arne Slot's used Joe a lot more as a centre back sub rather than the fullback sub. So I kind of get the sense that if Gomez is playing left back, particularly as a first choice left back, it's because Wataru Endo and Kwanzaa are your reserve centre backs, and then that relationship changes. But I'm not sure. I'm not saying I disagree with AG. I just think it depends a lot on how Arne Slot sees this, which, as we all know, is going to be a big factor.
So what about your view then, rather than thinking about what Arne Slot thinks? What about yourself? What would you do?
I agree. I agree. Is the best left back that would be there if the other two aren't playing well.
Yeah,
but I kind of look at this holistically, and for me, I just wouldn't trust. I would trust him above Kwa. He's the next best centre back. So if I have to choose between Joe at centre back or Joe at left back, I'm going to choose Joe at centre back because he just has to be there.
Well, we're going to need him to play with Kwanzaa in the other game. If we're rotating someone, like if it's a Champions League or whatever, we're going to need Gomez to come in because we might need a rest. So playing Joe left back, using his minutes up there, is a waste of time. Because if you've got two fit left backs, you need to rotate them. No matter how bad Robbo is right now, that's the thing. Go and buy a left back, Liverpool. Like, I'm going to throw these glasses at the bloody screen. Go and buy it, but you see a problem, fix it. Like we see it. I don't mind Robbo sticking around and playing in the cup games in going to Plymouth. Play him against Plymouth. Hope you get another League One Championship team in the next round of the FA Cup. Play Robbo there. He can be a cup guy. I don't know, but we need some fresh legs at that position. We need another centre back. Maybe get a hybrid. It's just obvious stuff, but we don't find the right opportunity. Which is really pissing me off, Marco.
I don't think it's an opportunity thing, Gags. You look at Kvaratskhelia going to PSG now, and I'm thinking, if we call an opportunity to get a player, I mean, was that not the definition of a perfect one? Let's play it out. Let's say your talisman right wing, who's special, decides to leave the club, right? Replacing him in an opposite way with one of the best left-sided versions of that, or potentially left-sided versions of that in Kvaratskhelia, and would have been a good idea, particularly when you look at it. He's leaving Napoli halfway through a season when they're sitting on top on Serie A. It's just, I don't see this as a lack of opportunity. I see there's something us fans haven't cracked about how they make decisions on transfers, whether it's how they want things to be funded, whether it's that sort of sell to buy model or something. I'm not sure what it is. It's just very, very clear that it's disappointing and
comment from Matthias. That our strikers or lack of there is needs reinforcements. Liverpool is the team in the Prem with the least conducted business this season.
I couldn't agree more. And it's funny because it relates to something we discussed in the last time we spoke about how things have played out with Manchester United's owners versus Liverpool. It is true that Liverpool have got better owners than Manchester United. It is also true that this is a problem that Liverpool the Liverpool front office or owners, whoever is responsible, is just not good at. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And yes, you're looking at this incredible performance of the team sort of being 4 points ahead, 7 points ahead, potentially. Like, if the wheels come off at the end, they're not going to come off because the players wanted it. They're not going to come off because the fans willed it. They're going to come off because the legs ran out, or an injury happened that ideally could have been covered by additional legs. And I think if everyone in the squad was being used to their full tilt, you could maybe make the argument, but they're not. You know that someone like Wataru Endo is sitting there less utilized. So why not utilize that slot, that money, that particular position in the squad better? So 100% agree with this comment.
Yeah. I would like to see Mo get a rest against Lille. We do too. Stick him in for 2 home games. He's got 2 home games if they want to. We've already discussed all of these stats actually that Eddie sent in. Thank you, Eddie. How many you heard? How many you heard? No. Then we will have 3 left backs, Gags. That's a sin in the books of FSG. Yes,
but it doesn't have to be.
We need to commit more sins. We need to commit more sins.
But Gags doesn't have to be. I'll give props to the transfer committee shows, which I know it's as fans. I don't care. It doesn't mean that it's not good work. There's tons of hybrid left-sided centre backs who can also rotate into left backs. That our own fans have sort of slotted and found. I get that there's a realism to how these deals work, but don't tell me that they're not players. They are players. And even then, if the model is okay, cool, we need to sell one to buy one, cool, sell one. Andy Robertson is not his contract is not expiring at the end of the season. He's clearly the guy who needs to be moved on. Move him on. Don't tell me he doesn't have market. Of course he has market. Adam Lallana had market. You're telling me Andy Robertson doesn't have market? Sell the guys, bring in new guys.
Yeah, and agreed, Ollie. If that's anything in terms of evidence towards what Slot thinks of Joe, like Marco was saying, he's a centre back in Slot's eyes. So thank you for that. Irony of today was watching Sepp Vandenberg having a good game. He's a good player. I always thought he was a good. I don't know why we all thought he was bad. Like, he actually showed some pace today as well, and he's a tall guy. Like, he was good in the box for them defensively. It was weird.
He would have been good cover, and I think if you consider aspects like this is also, he would have brought in the homegrown slot, which is important to the squad composition. It's weird. Like, 25 million to Brentford is not a bad deal. So I get the value of the sale, but it's like of the sales, because if I'm not mistaken, Fabio Carvalho was also sold around a similar time. The Sepp Vandenberg one, it's weird. I hadn't seen him play, and yet that didn't register with me. I thought, like, no, I don't know if I would have made the same choice. But anyway, you could see the evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about midfield earlier, Rosa, actually. If you missed it, if you're joining, you can rewind a little bit. We talked about Grav and how we thought Mac and Dom were good, but they were still. Marco thought we were too soft through the middle, and obviously we need a new DM to do that. And that's another area where we thought we've got plenty of forwards. Not asking for a forward. If Kavashi or whatever his name is came in, we should have sold someone, or Darwin probably would have been going. But the 3 positions where we all agree on is left back, centre back, a hybrid if you just want to get the hybrid if you can, but then a DM. And we would have been done for the season, and we would have had a great. I mean, Eddie, this is a good one to transition into. No player in Premier League history has scored more 90th minute winners away from home than Darwin the Great Nunez.
That's fascinating. It's
mad.
Wow. But I suppose it's like true to the narrative, right? A lot of us sort of speak about. I think it's Sam Maguire. I don't know if he was the first one to sort of speak about the chaos. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. I don't want to give Sam too much credit. Hello, Sam. But ultimately, yeah. I mean, the fact that he brings the chaos, but that already tells you, with the exception of games like Lille, the FA Cup games, Darwin shouldn't start. So that already means that you need to be looking at a different 9, at least until to the extent that Darwin obviously stays, and we see what happens in the summer. I don't want to dampen the parade. It's wonderful what he did today. I still think in the bigger picture in the summer, I'm looking to sell him. and bringing in a 9 who's going to score more regularly.
It was hilarious because 5 minutes before that, he took the ball outside the box, nearly fell over trying to control it, chased after it, and then blasted it into row Z. And everyone in Discord or on Twitter is blowing up. Waste of time. What a twat. It was just, oh, man. And then, I mean, like I said, all of us have been saying he's just not got any confidence. But maybe, Marco, this could turn it around for him. Just maybe. Is there a little glimmer, though, of hope that it could for him just so he goes on a run?
I think so, just because I'll tell the story from everyone around sort of what I saw. Because obviously, for those who know, I do spend time watching Benfica as well. And when he was at Benfica, I think the goal I'll point to is the goal that he scores against Barcelona in the Champions League. It completely unlocks a whole different player for Benfica for the rest of that season. He's a confidence kid. Like you could see a very different player with the same chances depending on the type of version you get served up. So I like your theory. I really hope it plays out. I've seen it play out in the Benfica shirt. I don't know if it'll play out here, but it certainly would be useful, especially given if Jota is going to keep on being unreliable, or if the Diaz centre forward experiment is not going to work. You need a 9. You need a 9, and you can't not have it. And it's too important for him to sort of mess us about until the end of the season.
We've got some comments from Thomas Frank, Brentford boss. I thought we played a really good game against the best team in the world right now. We did a lot of things right. We defended very well. We gave the opportunities away, but not too big. We probably lacked the final cutting edge. We had some good chances and opportunities that never became opportunities because of that last pass or touch. Their centre-backs were exceptionally good, like we said. On the first goal, it's a deflection that could drop anywhere else, but he blocks the cross, but it dropped perfectly for him, for Trent to play it into Nunez. Tough to take, but pleased with performance. We always tried to win the game from minute 1, despite who's coming here. We knew they'd have the ball a bit more, but we believed we could win the game. Yes, I think we just played City and Arsenal and now Liverpool in a short amount of time. For me, they're a level above the other two teams. They're complete. Their work ethic, the way they track back are good indicators. They're so good over the pitch. They're so good all over the pitch. Such a threat going forward. These are really, really good. It's the best team in the Premier League and the world. They're huge favourites. I mean, that is some praise from him on Liverpool after losing in the last minute, because he could have been bitter about it. He said it was tough to take, but that is some really kind words from Thomas Frank, who's done a great job, by the way, at Brentford. And I would say that even if he was bitter, I think he's done a great job. As a fact.
I was going to say, like we spoke about it. These are two very difficult away trips, Forest and Brentford back to back, and I think, again, if you look at the way that Brentford set up, I still want to give them a lot of credit because they didn't make it easy for Liverpool at all. But everything he said is accurate. Everything he said is completely accurate, and it just fundamentally speaks to the resilience of the team. I do want to give Liverpool a lot of credit as well for just sticking at it, because his comment around the deflection. I think it's important to also remember, like, you make your own luck to some extent as well. So. It's just really, really important for us to recognize that.
That last Mateus chat, if you take Haaland out of the City team, if these goals, if you take Saka out of their team, if you take Wood out of Forest's team, what's going to happen to their season? Are they going to be top 6 or are they going to be relegation? What's going to happen? Like, you could do that for anyone, with stats. Like, you could do that with anyone. He plays for Liverpool. He's in the team. He's going to score goals. We might be relying on him, but every team relies on a world-class star. Will people stop using these really silly type of pointers that if you take this player out of the team, they're nothing? Literally every team will have a star, and you take them out, and they're nothing. So don't take those. No, I'm not taking it. Sorry, Matthias.
But also Gags. Well, one of his other earlier comments around, like, the aspect that Gravenberch has fallen off. We agree. That's been noticed for some time, and ironically, the solution doesn't come to, it isn't about sort of playing someone else in the midfield. It's about signing players. So,
that one we did agree with. Like it's just
yeah.
those I really get a bee in a bonnet because under pressure stats, things like that. We've had these arguments for years on taking. I see people on Twitter use them all the time. If you take this player out, what's your team? I can literally say that about your team. I can say that any team. Like what kind of argument is that? It's just stupid. It makes no sense. Sorry. I'm sorry, Mateus. Don't mean to be rude. Come on, the Reds. Now FSG. There's no point, Andrew. There's no point. They're not going to give us any support. They're a waste of bloody time. I'm going to say it now. They're a waste of. They're just a waste of time. They are not going to put any money in there's the opportunities there. They want a bargain everywhere. They'll put the money in if there's a bargain. So if it's 50 million or if it's 45 million or 30 million for Kovacs, whatever name, that's fine. But if it goes to 67, sorry, we're out. He's world class, but we're not paying it because that's us. Sorry, Marco. I've got a bee in my bonnet at the
moment. I get it, and I think in this situation, I'm just looking at it and thinking to myself of once again, I think this is the thing we have to crack. This is the thing we have to understand. I don't know. Maybe if we get a few more likes and subscribes in the video, as Tadeo was just mentioning, we might get FSG to notice this and finally just sort of take this seriously. There's me hoping and dreaming. But really, like it just comes back to that. There's very obvious issues in this team from a squad construction perspective, and the last thing you want, if I think for like take this narrative for example, let's say they do win the league, it's still problematic that people are like, oh, okay, you won the league with Ryan Gravenberch playing as a makeshift six. It won't change that he's a makeshift six. It won't change it. You'll still need.
What would have happened if we had a Fabinho type in there? We would have walked this league. We would have won the Champions League. We would have won everything. That's the difference in the fine line of it all.
100%, 100%. And I think again, if one has to hope, like we as fans can see this. One has to hope. If I can see it from my couch over here, miles away, a continent away. I mean, I've got to hope. Edwards and Hughes can see this and say, look, I mean, this midfield's soft. This midfield needs to sort of, when it comes up against a bruising team like a Newcastle, like a Forest, the midfield's been sort of bullied a fair bit the last few matches. So, and that's one of the key things, and that's to be expected in the league. This is not a new thing. And yes, great centre backs and a great keeper who I agree, Ali doesn't look completely his full color, but you don't want them doing too much. You want the midfield to work properly.
We'll get to Mateus as well. Harinder, can we go back to Harinder, Jack? So, Bargy, you're a bit late with this one. Eddie beat you to it, but thank you. And it was Harinder Bargy's birthday yesterday, so everybody wish Bargy a belated happy birthday for yesterday. And he's been very unwell, so give him a get well soon as well. So get well soon, Bargy. Yeah, I think you're a bit late because you're not well. It's okay. You'll be faster next time. Poor chap. But happy birthday. Yeah, for that Mateus one, that was good. When in Premier League history have you ever heard that a new manager has come into a club and not gotten a single? So I only got Chiesa, but yeah. Well, welcome to Liverpool. I will be stunned if we sign anything in Jan. I'll be stunned too. Chiesa does it even count? Because he doesn't even like him, it seems. Or he doesn't play. He doesn't trust him. He doesn't play him.
Well, my understanding of the Chiesa situation is it comes down to a whole bunch of sort of solving this fitness puzzle, which doesn't seem to be very, very obvious to everybody. But I think for me the bigger concern with the decision that Arne Slot's made, again I'll come back to it, is decisions where if you've got certain players again like Ryan Gravenberch where he's being clearly overloaded from a minutes perspective, and there's a whole bunch of other players who are completely underutilized. That for me is the thing that doesn't connect. That's where the dots seem to not be lining up, because this is the kind of league where you've got a lot of players. You also got to remember, like Liverpool are also playing extra competitions. I don't know if people think about this. It's La Liga, they don't have a League Cup. Serie A, they don't have a League Cup. Bundesliga, I don't think they have one as well. I'm not sure if I know in Portugal they have 4 cups, but ultimately, like that puts a club like Liverpool, for example, at a disadvantage if you think about it in terms of how many extra matches they're playing.
Are you saying, Marco, if he's not playing in Elliott, if he's not playing in Endo, sell them and get someone else in?
Yes, yes,
Because
because
at least pick
ultimately,
someone that you want that's going to play. And I agree
100%,
with that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And
Completely
and
agree.
and and again, I'm saying that in the basis of, if one of the reasons they're not buying is because they want to sell first, cool, sell. We get it, sell. But I mean, I'm assuming you'd want to sell Darwin Nunez because he's sort of short of requirements because he's not just starting nine. Fantastic. Okay. Although granted, I just want to say, and I'm glad Eddie put up the comment. I do think On has done some interesting things. Assuming he's not going to buy players and he's not going to sell Nunez, I think it's been interesting how protective he's been of Darwin in the media. Case in point, the comment on the screen right now. So this is consistent with a few things On has said about the effort he's put in and some of the other performances. I don't know if it's enough for me as a fan, but yeah, On is being consistent. I suppose I have to say that. Do I like it? Not really. I don't think it's the right position to take because
He's lying clearly. He's very happy with the other performance he puts in. What was he happy about? Then I would question what you're happy about. Arsenal are one ahead, by the way, folks, which is a pain in the ass, but hey, that's fine. If we win and they win, it's just status quo, so we're happy.
We focus on our business, Gags.
Yeah.
It's like I said earlier. I think let's try not to care too much about Arsenal, because if Liverpool does their business, Arsenal is not an entity. It just isn't.
Yeah.
No one is an entity. If Liverpool does what they're supposed to do, they win the league. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we should be focusing on.
Nunez still going in the summer. The only way to save his Liverpool career is by scoring constantly. I don't think so. I don't think
even that.
Your first statement is correct.
But do that. Score in every game you play, Darwin. We'll like it.
What was that next one that you put on, Jack? Yeah, 2 weeks into the window, 3 major players out of contract, no sign of being extended, and need at least 2 players, but no one looking at no one. Haha, effigy fleecing us for their American clubs. Well, actually, I don't think they're fleecing us for their American clubs. I think they're just taking the money out there for themselves, to be honest, and probably cooking the books as well. But and making us look like we're poor, which I just don't see how this club can be poor, and I just don't see how this club can be not buying players. We're going to be in the Champions League again next year. We're going to go, further in the Champions League hopefully this year. There's going to be plenty of money coming in for 2 years at least. So if you wanted to buy a player or two now and then in the summer, you're strengthening a squad that's already doing well, and then it's going to qualify again for the next. And especially with the 5th spot now in Champions League, the chances of a Liverpool with a squad like this, at least if they retain 1 or 2 of the players that are with their contracts out. I mean, if Verge stays just Verge, we're going to be solid at the back, right? And most times, if you're solid at the back, you're gonna win leagues. And if Mo did go, I'm sure we'd go buy a big player then to replace him for that, or at least get a very good winger. So I don't know. I just think it's silly not to go and invest, especially when you know that the money's going to be coming in. It's with this manager too, Marco. You kind of have confidence in a manager that comes in, does this, performs like this. He's got a 3-year contract or 4-year, whatever it is. You're going to be in the Champions League for 3 years if he continues to have this effect on players and coaching and bringing players in. So support him.
Agreed. I was going to say, I think over time it actually just only creates the further alienation of the narratives between, Slot is either part of the solution or part of the problem. In this situation, you're feeding a situation where he becomes part of the solution by obviously being supported, and ultimately it just sort of creates a further indictment, especially if the thing you come to pass. By the way, 1 out of 3 contracts, I'd obviously be disappointed if it's 2 out of 3, but 1 out of 3, I'd be quite irritated actually, because
I think that's what's likely. I think that's what's likely right now, mate. I think we need to start to accept the fact that we're only going to get Verge done.
But then,
quite clear.
Yeah, but then, Gags, then there's got to be a very clear message around how they set up for intention. Because ironically, look, Kvaratskhelia as an example. I don't want to beat up too much on that, but Kvaratskhelia is, in my opinion, the least of the level of player we should be talking about if Mo Salah walks out the door. Kvaratskhelia doesn't have Mo's most production record by any stretch of the imagination. He could. That's the potential conversation we're having. The point is, though, that is the floor of the level you're starting to look at if you're trying to even think about Mo Salah being replaced.
We can't expect another Salah. That's all. So we'll just have to see what happens and who comes in. And all the other interviews, there's a lot of focus on Darwin. Every time I said, yeah, but don't forget about Harvey. He had a big impact on both goals as well. Yeah, don't forget about Harvey, but you don't play him, mate. So that's why we forget about him. Scouse JFT 97 is really, Justice for the 97 is proper going after FSG right now, like proper. Yeah, I read that one, we're on like a mid-table club. And then but for me, Liverpool's has been a club with good strikers. Also hope great, no worries, that's fine. There was something about Nick Hammond actually said something, Jack, that's further up. Do you guys think there's a chance the club could be putting up a smoke screen RE transfers and we might get last minute stuff? You know what? We have been the king of smoke screens for 10 years and then nothing happens. So their smoke screen is so good that they kind of smoke themselves.
100%, and really, I think unfortunately we're going by what the past has taught us. We're not looking at the challenge is I can give you the benefit of the doubt if there's been a payoff a few times. I can't in this situation because it's not the norm. Fabinho, we all love that signing. It was unusual. That doesn't normally happen. Like even give me one. Like Virgil, there was talk. Suarez, there was talk.
We messed Virgil up first time.
Exactly. So it's like there's unfortunately in my memory, maybe it's just me. Fine, beat up on me then, but I remember far too many of the ones where the talk was there, as opposed to Fabinho is probably the only one actually that, now that I think of it, that was just like a 2-day surprise.
Because we were so focused on the Champions League final in Kiev that it just wasn't on anyone's radar at all. And in fact, I can't remember. Did you hear the story that I told about that one? Literally, somebody came up to me on the street when we were celebrating, and he was like, "Gags, I think I know that we're signing Fabinho." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I know and my girlfriend plays with football with his wife, because Fab's wife is a footballer or at least played football in France as well with her friends, or I don't know if she's what level, but." And I was like, "Well, should I put it out there?" And I go, "Well, I think it was LFC Transfer News. This person was involved with LFC Transfer News or something, Transfer Room maybe at the time." And I was like, "Well, it's up to you, but only if you're 100% sure, because if it goes wrong, your account's going to get blasted completely." So he didn't put it out there. But literally 2 days later, he signed. So then I put him on a pod. And we told the whole story. So
can I just point out something, folks? This guy, that way. Wait, where's my finger? This guy, I mean, look at the goal, right? He's sitting on planes with Mike Edwards. Now this story, I mean, what more do you want? What more do you want?
I didn't tweet it either because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe Liverpool would be so smart.
Hang on, Gags, I'm giving you flowers. Don't interrupt. Like, if can you please like and subscribe Enfield Index? Look what this guy gives you. Guy gives you. But I think the funny thing about the Fabinho story for me, I'd been on hiatus for Twitter for a year. Liverpool signed a defensive midfielder. I come straight back.
That's it.
That's how much.
I'm coming back. If we can sign someone like the level of a Belabor or something and put him in this team, I think it's over for everybody. Like,
and that's
honestly,
that's the point, Gags. That's the point. It doesn't, you were mentioning earlier on opportunities. I think that's why I would love to know what makes it difficult. Is it the process? Is it negotiation? Is it legitimately a budget thing? Cool. Mo Chatra, please tweet us and tell us the facts. Like, because I don't see any reasons other than I don't want to do it, not I can't do it, and not I shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. I was stunned when I saw Diaz starting today, a player that wasn't in training on Thursday because of illness, and rushed him to start today instead of Nunez. Yeah, he's got his favourites already. You can see them. The downfall of it is that they're going to get overplayed, and come March, hopefully we don't bottle it again, like everyone says. The smoke screen this season looks like fog to me. We're a terrible bunch. We should be so happy. We are top of the league, and we finally won in 2025
Gags,
in the Premier League.
we have high standards.
Mm.
It's like the start of the game. I'd won. I wrote on my match notes. The first thing I wrote down: please show up to work on time. Liverpool, please show up to work on time. Please start well, because I think you said it in the last part. Can Liverpool stop conceding the first goal? It's important. It's
And that's
important.
why we won. We kept
Yeah,
them out the whole game. Didn't make it hard for ourselves. It was likely we were going to score just because how many shots we were 37 shots. And if we had 37 shots and no goals today and broke a record, we would have broke a record of probably most shots without her.
yeah,
You know, just a
yeah.
crazy one.
And
That Mo Chatra stuff you talked about earlier there's an article on Anfield Index about it yesterday. So
amazing.
go and check it out, please, folks.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to talk about? Is there anything that we haven't covered, Marco, or is it time to go?
I can't think of anything other than let me give your positivity chance some air. Absolutely up the Reds, fantastic 2-0, extend the lead. I don't care about Arsenal. I care about what Liverpool does right until the end of the season. If Liverpool does their business, they win the league. That's it. That's all we should care about. And there's no reason they can't do it. There's no reason they can't do it. Even with this nonsense of not signing players, it's just if they don't sign players, it's probably like a lot harder than it needs to be, which is just dumb. But up the Reds.
Absolutely agree. Up the Reds, fantastic stuff. Yeah, I think that's it then. Marco, this has been a pleasure. I'm so glad that it was a win this time and not a draw. And it should have been a win if we didn't really concede a stupid goal and if we'd taken Trent off on time. But hey, yeah. Have you subscribed, Reds? Smash a like. Join the great growing community here at Anfield Index. There's so much going on. Come and like and subscribe on YouTube. If you want to, go to anfieldindex.com/Discord. I'm sure people aren't going to write all that out or memorize it, Eddie, unfortunately. But yeah, hey, anfieldindex.com for that article. Anfieldindex.com/Discord to join our community in Discord. And anfieldindex.com/join to join Anfield Index Pro and enjoy all of the content we deliver on podcasts. But if YouTube's your jam, come and subscribe and like it. We'd love you to. Thank you, Ollie, up the Reds. Appreciate it. Everybody who's been in the comments today, thank you very much. We really appreciate your support. And once again, Marco, thank you for joining me and giving us your time. And we have Jack behind the scenes as well for helping us with all the comments. Appreciate you as well, Jack. Thank you. And the rest of you, we'll see you on Tuesday night first for the Lille game. And then I'll see you on Thursday night for Chat G&G. So it's like Saturday, Tuesday. Hey, man, I'm going to get fatigued the way this is going. Forget Liverpool. But as long as we keep winning, we'll be sorted. Links in the chat, by the way, for the Twitter article. Right. Have a great rest of your weekend. It's going to be a great weekend now that we won. And yeah, we'll see you on Tuesday. Have a great one. Up the Reds.